right? So that is raga or dependence on them. So we are not looking at internal happiness, which is the true bliss. We find happiness in external situations, object, people, and with that we attain too much of attachment, too much of raga with them, and that leads to that we want to hold on to that. We have resistance to lose, but all these are impermanent, lead to shoka, then finally moha, and all that. And what is the solution? That Jnana Yoga, all this yogic philosophy, or at least the self knowledge, to self analysis, to understand what is right for me, what is wrong for me, irrespective, whether you are on a, this is you are referring to a spiritual path or to any of your personal goal, corporate goal, whatever it is. You need to have that self knowledge around what is right, what fits in your path, and what does not fit in your path. So avoid what does not fit in your path and imbibe what fits in your path. And generally, you need guidance, a guide, right? A teacher, a spiritual guru, or a corporate guru, or anybody to remove all that ignorance which clouds the mind and show us the right path. First of all, to decide on our goal itself, and then to monitor, periodically whether we are on the right path, or whenever we are hitting a hurdle, what is the way to move forward so that we do not give up. All that roles are played by guru guide. So that also we'll see in detail that what is the role of guru. Right now, let's finally conclude with the first chapter with this. So, states of our own mind are like Dhritarashtra lives within us whenever attachment blinds us to what is right. So, we all can correlate with this. Duryodhana appears wherever ego, jealousy, insecurity, or ambitions drive our actions. Arjuna surfaces when emotions overwhelm our judgment. So, because of over attachment, we are not able to take the right judgment. Sanjaya emerges when we cultivate the ability to observe without reacting. When we are able to cultivate the right intellect and all, then Sanjaya emerges. And Krishna represents the inner wisdom or the Guru's guidance that restores clarity, self mastery. Right? So we will have a mix of all these, right? As we progress, even day to day, it will differ. Week on week, it may differ. Month on month, it may differ. Someday we will have more of a particular element. Someday we will have more of another element and all. With gradual practice, this Sanjay element and the Krishna element will actually make most of our lives work. That's the idea. That should be our goal. So the Gita is not just a story about a vow. It is a manual for understanding and mastering the human mind. Right? So if you just look at it from a war perspective, just like another movie, then you're not going to learn anything out of it. But if you truly imbibe and correlate it with your day-to-day life, then actually it can give you a different kind of learning altogether. Right? So with that, we will conclude the first chapter today. And I'll just take a pause here. So any question till now? You're able to correlate any comment, not only doubt, but any comment. You want to add anything, you want to add any additional information, anywhere I was wrong, actually, you can add anything, correct me. I'll
And I
just
think,
take a
Bhaiya, it has
pause.
been very beautifully summarized and so simple, and you made it very practical because now the roles, when we really looked at it as something that is happening as a story, and then the minute you turn it, and now the mirror is like more clear, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's very beautifully summarized, very nicely put.
Yeah, so I'll, I'm really grateful to SVS only for this. because before I read it in Asvyasa, Bhagavad Gita, I've been reading for long, but never got this understanding. But if you look at the SLM, if you read that now, that has given this understanding all to, and most of the things are from there, from SLM, from Shiparna's ma'am's PPT. That has taken my learning or understanding all together, and that's why I was able to put that in this form. Very differently put. It's really amazing. Really thankful to them for giving me this understanding.
And
You can
Bhagavad
see
Gita,
some.
the verses are such that every time you read it, you're able to actually see what's happening in life and maybe identify. For example, there would be some times when I would be going through something in life and then the shloka would come, Bhishma Drona Tata, Jayadrata Jala, Gandhara Nilokava. So it's like, who is the Shakuni? And there are these Bhishma and Drona are the banks of the river, but there are so many sharks, and that's how
Yeah.
life is. There are challenges which are going to come up. There are people who are going to be uh, adharmic in their life, and they come up to you and they challenge you. So, and yet, how do you keep Krishna as your focus and move ahead? So, I think it really speaks a lot, each of the verse.
I mean, that is what I also realized. The Shakuni has really, because I was again watching Mahabharata recently. So I realized that at many point of time, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, they came to a point of reconciliation. But then Shakuni was the one person who actually, and that is where Dhritarashtra's intellect should have played the role. But he just went by, what Shakuni was saying because he was too much blinded by Duryodhana's love. So he just went ahead with all that other. Otherwise, things would have been. But it had to happen, all this learning. Otherwise, we would not have been talking about. Fine. So I'm seeing some comments. Is my voice clear and everything is okay? Okay. So, fine. So I'll just quickly start with second chapter. So we'll spend 15 minutes more
But
and
yeah,
then yeah,
I'm sorry, but somebody has put up something on the chat.
let me see.
Yeah.
If there might be some time delay today, please once can you give the family tree names that is used in Mahabharata characters we are learning? Some Zoom user, I don't know who has pasted this. Are you looking for, somebody's looking for the family tree? I'm not sure it is coming from Zoom AI, or if any one of you has raised this question, let me know, then I'll try to put that in the group later. Because this is not really relevant as such. Any other question that you would have put up or remaining? No. That's okay. So we are done with the first chapter. What was the name of first chapter? Which yoga they said? Arjuna Vishad Yoga, right? So no, you are speaking on mute, Sitaji.
Yeah, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Yeah.
Yeah. So then second chapter is Sankhya Yoga. So you would need to by heart these names also of all the 18 chapters, because that could also be a small question there. So just try to remember all these names. So the second chapter is Sankhya Yoga, and this Sankhya Yoga is not same as that of Kapila Muni's Sankhya, the Indian philosophical system. Right? So this Sankhya Yoga is different. So let's not link it or get confused with that Sankhya. This is the analytical knowledge. It's all about the soul, about the Atma. That's what it is referring to here. Right? So in the first chapter, we saw the Arjuna's state. And you would have also observed that Krishna didn't utter even a single word. Right? There was one shloka from Dhananjaya, Dhritarashtra in that beginning, 1.1, then something from Sanjana, and then mostly from Arjuna. And Krishna was completely in the listening mode. Right? So that is one observation here. And even if we look at their relationship, Krishna and Arjun, so they were like friends for more than 50 years at least. At no point of time, Krishna gave him this wisdom of Gita earlier, right? Because Arjuna was completely into a different mode. He was honing his skills of archery, war, weaponry, all that. He was completely occupied with that. So never at any point of time this grief or anything stuck to him. He was in a way not ready to receive all this knowledge, right? So these two observations we should remember. And now what has changed here? So till this point, their relationship was that of a friendship. And now the moment he has surrendered, Arjuna has surrendered, starting from the second chapter, their relationship will switch to Guru Shishya. So obviously that friendship will still be there, but then the Guru Shishya relationship will take over. Arjuna's perception about Krishna will change completely. And particularly after the Vishwarupa Darshan in the 11th chapter, his perception will completely change. Then he will realize with whom he was living for so many years. So that can happen with us also. We may be living with a, very highly realized person, but then that person is so humble. He's not showing his intellect, he's not showing his wisdom. We may never realize that. But at some point of time, we may come across, we may understand that as well. So it starts with Krishna's rebuke. So and to address all these Arjuna's anxiety, what does Krishna do? He doesn't take a simple route. He takes a longer route to address the root cause itself. Right. So initially he rebukes Krishna. So we'll see in the next slide. He rebukes Arjuna. How are you behaving? It's just like a small child. Behave properly. How are you behaving? It doesn't look good to you, like that. But Arjuna doesn't listen. He still continues with some of his arguments. So that's the initial 10 shlokas there. Then from 11th shloka onwards, Sri Krishna starts giving the knowledge of Sankhya Yoga, the knowledge of self, the knowledge of Atma, knowledge of Swadharma, and couple of other things. So from 11 to 30, it is all about the knowledge of self. From 31 to 37, it is primarily around the Swadharma, Paradharma, and all that. And then part 3, which is from shloka 39 to 53, it talks about the Karma Yoga, which is backed by the Buddhi Yoga, the equanimous mind. And that portion gives the key definitions of yoga also, the Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, and then another uh, key definition of yoga. And that is the first stage of spiritual life. And then finally, it talks about the freedom from samsara, the sthita pragya, the qualities of the wise person established in steady wisdom. The term he has used is sthita pragya. And another concept he has covered that we call as ladder of fall. So intense attachment and all that, that starts a path of destruction. So all that we will see in the subsequent, towards the end of the chapter. So this is the structure of the second chapter. And this is one of the key chapter, I would say, and almost covers the entire topics that will be coming in the subsequent part. So I'll be spending quite a lot of time on this second chapter. And while covering this, in fact, I'll be covering a couple of aspects of the subsequent chapters also. So by the time we have completed second chapter, probably we would have completed, I mean, if I just talk about the exam perspective, we would have completed more than 40% of your syllabus or questions. Now, coming back to this Krishna and Arjuna relationship that I was saying, right? So, all this we have seen. So, two key points subsequently. So, Arjuna and ultimately the entire mankind for uh, Gita Upadesha because he surrendered as a disciple. Arjuna got this Gita Upadesha because he surrendered as a disciple. And second point that it says is teaching should not be imparted unless asked humbly. Right. So these are the two things which are typically said about the Guru Shishya relationship here. So there is one beautiful shloka also that we'll see subsequently how a person. So first of all, whether a guru is really needed, that question also will answer, and how a person should approach to a guru, that also we will see. Right. So we have 24. Let's cover this also, and then we'll cut. So this is the first part. What Krishna is starting with, he's saying, how does this delusion overcome you in this hour of peril? It is not befitting an honorable person like you. It leads not to the higher adopts, but to disgrace. And then he says, O Partha. I mean, first he addresses him with the word Partha that he used to all the way. O Partha, it does not befit you to yield to this unmanliness. Give up such pretty weakness of heart and arise. O vanquisher of enemies. So he is reminding him, right? You have won a lot of wars, you have vanquished a lot of enemies. Now what has happened to you? Why are you showing this weakness and all? Right? So in a way, he is trying to trigger something within Arjuna that hearing that Arjuna may reconcile, but then that does not happen. Then Arjuna starts subsequently. How can I shoot arrows in battle on men like Bhishma, Dronacharya, who are worthy of my worship? He further says, it would be better to live in this world by begging than to enjoy life by killing these noble elders who are my teachers. If we kill them, the wealth and treasures we enjoy will be tainted with blood. I mean, he is willing to beg, but he is not willing to enjoy the life by killing them or restore the dharma by killing them. Then again, he says, we do not even know which result of this war is preferable for us, conquering them or being conquered by them. Even after killing them, we will not desire to live. So he continues with all these arguments. So we saw a couple of arguments initially in the first chapter, and here also he is giving some additional arguments. And then finally, he, in a way, goes into the mode that, yes, I'm realizing that, I'm not in the right state of mind. And that is the point where we can actually take the corrective path in our life. Because unless we accept that we are on wrong path, we are moving in a wrong direction, unless we seek help, we live within ourselves, we keep our negative emotions within ourselves, we are never going to get help. We are not never going to get onto a correct path, right? So this is the beginning. What he says, I'm confused about my duty. I'm besieged with anxiety and fate. heartedness. I am your disciple, and I am surrendered to you. Please instruct me for certain what is best for me. So as we saw Shreyas and Preyas, so he is asking the path of Shreyas here. Right? So he has realized that he needs some external help. And just look at this verse 2.7. Shishyate aham. Shishyate aham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. With this, he is completely surrendering to him. This is an important term, verse. This you should remember. There can be a question, what is meant by Shishyate aham? So you should remember this 2.7, Shishyate aham. So this is the surrendering of Arjuna in front of Krishna. And it is not a negative surrender that, I'm surrendering to you. Now you do whatever you want. I'm not going to do anything. It is a surrender from seeking guidance. And then based on that guidance, I'm willing to take that corrective course of action. 2.8, it says, I can find no means of driving away this anguish that is drying up my senses. Even if I win a prosperous and unrivaled kingdom on the earth or gain sovereignty like the celestial gods, I'll be unable to dispel the grief. So whatever happens, I win the battle, I get the complete kingdom, I win all the celestial, this thing, everything. Still, I'm not going to get over my grief. So now you guide me. I shall not fight and become silent. So this is complete surrender of Sri Krishna, of Arjuna to Sri Krishna. This is the turning point and the starting point of Bhagavad Gita in true sense. So with this, I'll take a pause for today and we will start seeing the Krishna's view, how he starts counter argument to all this, incorrectly filled, wisdom filled arguments from Arjuna. How he kills each and every argument one by one, shloka by shloka. So that we'll see through all different philosophical angle, ethical angle, all that he uses. So all that we will see in the next section. So any question, any comment?
Very clearly.
Okay. So if nothing, anybody else, if nothing else, then we'll simply close with a prayer. So sit comfortably and eyes closed, hands in Namaskar Mudra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashyad Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. With few blinks, gently open the eyes. Okay, thank you all. Thank you for attending. See you in the next session.
Thank you, Bhaiya.